There's a business out there for everybody.
The tax code in the United States is written for the self-employed. So it's written for business owners.
At the end of the day, Business Ownership Summit's learning about business credit.
What I'm really passionate about is being able to provide quality, strategic, proactive services at reasonable fees for small business owners out there.
We're looking for business owners, people with business acumen.
I guess if they're starting to find this content and they see it, they're like, oh, okay, now I kind of understand it.
Overall theme of everything that we're talking about, like we talked about taxes a bunch, like the purpose of this episode is to talk about taxes.
Everybody should own a business. Everybody should own a business. I made those mistakes too years back, and that's why I try to educate people. Like every business entity I have, I build business credit with. Today's topic, we're going to talk about semi-passive franchise opportunities for medical professionals. Now remember, franchises are geographic based and your territories might be taken. Typically what we do is we create a thesis for you to find the best business model for you and your situation. Some of you are looking for more absentee. Some of you are looking for a business that has really good tax write-off capabilities. Many medical professionals are pretty well paid. And we'll touch on Section 179 and bonus depreciation. So all those factors really go into figuring out what business model might make the most sense for you. What is semi-absentee franchising? Semi-absentee franchising, it allows you to earn, I wouldn't say passive, I'd say semi-passive income while maintaining your medical career. You're looking for a business that there's a manager of some sort, or there could be a business that doesn't require a lot of employees, that you could work and maybe spend 10 to 20-ish hours per week in. Some of them are more passive than others. Franchising is everywhere. There's just in the US I can speak of, because that's really the US and Canada, the markets we mostly service. But franchising in the US brings in about, like with employees and everything, globally in the US about $760 billion last year. So it's a huge industry. Many of us think of just the Subways of the world, but there's well over 3,000 franchises out there. And a lot of the franchises we work with are probably names that you might not be familiar with. The HVAC company down the street, or the company that installs your flooring, or the painting company. A lot of these businesses are oftentimes franchise models. We do a lot in the home service sector, which could be, like I said, HVAC companies, painting companies. Restoration is a big industry, right? Like that's a business model where there's fire damage, water damage, and generally insurance carriers pay for that, whether it's a residential or commercial property. So you take the quiz, you book a discovery call. We spend about 30 minutes on the initial call, just understanding a little bit more about you. It's really about understanding like your passions, maybe something in the conversation that sparks, and it gives us an idea of like a business to present to you. So after that initial discovery call, we come back and we do what's called a business model review. So we have to do some research based on where you live. We want to show you between 7 to 12 different franchise business models. So tax benefits is a big one for a lot of people in the medical space. Usually, pretty high earners. So Section 179, you can oftentimes deduct the full purchase price of qualifying equipment, trucks, vans, equipment you use for the business. Bonus depreciation. There's also bonus depreciation. Your CPA is going to navigate and show you, what would be the best way to structure your business entity. This is an LLC, is an S corp. How do you optimize to have a pass-through that can then offset some of that earned income on your personal tax returns? And that's really in my opinion, this is my opinion, being both a real estate investor, there's no better write-offs and tax advantages than to be a small business owner. The only thing else I can equate it to is if you own short-term rentals and you materially participate here in the US at least, You can do what's called cost segregation, even if you're not considered a real estate professional, as long as you materially participate. That's another great avenue. So both my real estate experience, my lending experience, my business ownership experience kind of formulated why I'm so excited about helping people get into business ownership. So business models for semi-absentee franchising. So there's a couple business models. There's owner-operator. That's where you're in the business, you're working in there hands-on. Semi-absentee, which most of you will be doing, where you spend 10 or 20 hours a week kind of orchestrating the business, working with the general manager, overseeing the books, making sure the decisions are made appropriately. That's really a semi-absentee. Then there's also a managed model where the actual franchise manages the business model for you. But most people I see want to be involved because I think that's where you're going to get the best results. So a semi-absentee business model makes a lot of sense. And then there's multi-unit ownership. You could own a territory of this painting company in your where you reside, then you're doing really well, and then you expand to other multiple territories. There's also multiple brands. You can own multi-brands. So a lot of people own a portfolio of franchises. They own a painting company, they own a flooring company, they own an HVAC company. So you can grow that way as well. A lot of private equity is in the franchise business world now. We're seeing more and more of these private equity companies coming in and buying and doing these roll-ups of different franchise models, which is pretty interesting. Most of the franchises that we work with, you don't need experience in HVAC to be successful in the business. You need to be able to follow the blueprint and build culture. So it's really important to build culture, especially if you're going to have a business model where you have employees. You have to be able to be a good leader and to build that culture. You have to be good at monitoring key performance KPIs and understanding, how to look at a P&L. Obviously, you can build skills, but generally, you're going to have to. Building culture is probably the number one thing to be successful in most of these business models that you have employees. So when I talked about the FDD, in item 7, they're going to give you initial investment range. That's the franchise fee. That's all the opening startup costs. That's working capital. They're going to give you a low to high investment range, which could be anywhere from, X amount of dollars to X amount of dollars. And then what you do is you uncover based on where you live and what is the average startup cost for this business model. Then we're going to talk about financing options. Well, with SBA loans, you can finance up to 80% of the total project cost. We actually have banks that will do 90% of the total startup cost, which is pretty phenomenal to be able to leverage the SBA program. That's just here in the U.S., but it finances probably 20+% of all the franchises out there. I would imagine that because the other ways to fund, there's alternative funding. A lot of people also they have an eligible retirement account. They can do what's called a ROBS rollover. But really, I think the good debt is really where you want to be because it really comes down to how much cash in, what's the ROI on that cash in, year one. And so what if I put down 80 grand, how long until I can recoup that money and start making everything, it's cash flow from there. And that's really why I like the idea of using good debt such as SBA financing. We're going to go and we're going to take a quick deep dive on a couple franchise brands just to give you an idea. These aren't the end all be all. And you can also flag this website, which is called businessownershipcoach.com/quiz. I'll send that out to you too if you don't copy it. But that's the quiz I have you take. And then you book a discovery call. After you take the quiz, it automatically sends you an email to book a discovery call if you're interested. Hi guys, Bo Exine here, and I'm with Baby Bo. Baby Bo is just a little over 4 months. He's my first child, my wife and I. So if you want to create legacy for your family, I highly suggest you go to our Business Ownership Summit. You can find all the events we're doing. Primarily, they're all free. You can go to boexstein.com/events. And I hope to see you at one of our events where we teach business ownership, how to leverage SBA financing, tax strategies. I'm not a CPA and an attorney, but we bring CPAs on. You're going to learn why everyone should own a small business. So I hope you attend. Go to boexstein.com/events. I'll see you at the next one. Hey guys, Bo Eckstein here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.